Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. I am super excited about today's video recipe. I've partnered with Bob's Red Mill and I'll be sharing not one, not two, but three easy spring baking recipes. Now if you're not familiar with Bob's Red Mill, they offer the largest lines of organic whole grain products in the country. And all their products are certified kosher and non-GMO. But this is one brand that I always have in my kitchen pantry. The three recipes that I'll be sharing today are my blueberry muesli muffins made with Bob's Red Mill muesli cups, my strawberry rhubarb tea cake with whipped cream and strawberry rhubarb jam, and finally, my buttery strawberry scones. For all the recipe details and for an amazing coupon deal, just head down into my video description box for all those links. I'm going to start things off with my blueberry muesli muffins. These are packed with so much incredible flavor and they're perfect in the morning for breakfast. Today I'm actually going to make a gluten-free version using Bob's Red Mill gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour. This stuff is amazing if you like gluten-free baking. I'm going to start with my wet ingredients first. I have 3/4 cup of sour cream. You can also use Greek yogurt, half a cup of melted butter, 2 large eggs, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'll mix this all together for a few minutes and slowly add in half a cup of granulated sugar. And I'm going to measure out 1.5 cups of this gluten-free flour. And Bob's Red Mill has been around for more than 3 decades, providing high quality, minimally processed products from the mill to your table. I'll add my flour to the batter, along with a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a sprinkle of ground nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And mix this all together for about a minute until it's well combined. And now for my muesli, I'll be using Bob's Red Mill new muesli cups. These come in 3 different flavors. They're all certified gluten-free. You can get the paleo, tropical, or gluten-free version. They're all available online or exclusively in Whole Foods. And today I'm gonna go with a tropical flavored muesli. Just sprinkle that in. And finally for my blueberries, I have 1 cup of blueberries. I toss them with 1 tablespoon of cornstarch to just help keep those berries suspended so they won't sink down to the bottom. And then just mix this all together. Make sure to spray down your muffin pan with some baking spray and then use a scoop to measure out the batter. And I like to top my muffins off with some extra blueberries on top. And then this pan is ready to go into the oven. I have mine preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. These are gonna bake for about 24 to 26 minutes. You want the top to be nice and golden brown and let them cool down a few minutes before digging in. And while my muffins were baking, I made a really simple glaze using milk and some confectioner's sugar, just a little sprinkle of salt and vanilla, and I'll have that full recipe up on my site. I'm just gonna use my pastry brush to brush this glaze on. And moving on to recipe number 2, I'll be making my strawberry rhubarb tea cake. This cake is just so light and fluffy and it's super easy to make. I'm starting out with 3/4 cup of unsalted butter. I've softened this in my large mixing bowl. To that I'll add 1 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and cream this all together for about 2 to 3 minutes. Next, I'll add in 4 large egg yolks and 1 cup of warm milk. Mix that all together. And now for my dry ingredients, I've measured out 1.5 cups of Bob's Red Mill all-purpose flour. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and now I'm going to measure out 3/4 cup of almond flour. I love this almond flour for all my baking needs, and what I love about this employee-owned company is that they use quality whole grains to satisfy all vegan, paleo, and gluten-free friendly cooking. And I'll combine all my dry ingredients in a fine mesh sifter and sift the ingredients into the liquid batter. And use my mixer to blend this all together for about a minute. Onto my fruit filling, I have 1 cup of diced strawberries. To that I'll add 1 cup of diced rhubarb and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch to keep all those juices together. and then use a spatula to fold that in. Last but not least, the egg whites. I have 4 large egg whites. To that I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, which is going to help stabilize the egg whites, and whisk this for a few minutes until stiff peaks form. And then gently fold in the egg whites. And then divide the cake batter evenly between 2 8-inch cake rounds. I've lined these with parchment paper. And my cake layers are ready to go into my preheated oven. I've set it to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're going to bake for about 28 to 30 minutes until the top is golden brown. Then I'll take them out, let them cool completely. Meanwhile, let's make that strawberry rhubarb jam and the whipped cream. This jam is the easiest to make. Into a small saucepan, I'll add 2 cups of diced rhubarb, 1 cup diced strawberries, 1/2 cup of sugar. Bring the jam up to a simmer over medium heat and cook for about 8 to 10 minutes until that rhubarb starts to break apart and you have this beautiful jam. The frosting for this cake is also really simple. I've measured out 1.5 cups of chilled heavy cream. I'll pour that into my mixer bowl. Add 1 cup of confectioner's sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then just mix this all together for about 4 to 5 minutes until stiff peaks form. All right guys, so I have my cake layers completely cooled. I have my rhubarb jam that's also cooled, and I have my whipped cream frosting ready. So now let's just put it all together. I'll top each layer off with some whipped cream frosting. And then add spoonfuls of that rhubarb strawberry jam. Add the second layer on top. Let's cut into this gorgeous cake to see what it looks like on the inside. How stunning is that? And now for recipe number 3, my buttery strawberry almond scones. These are absolutely phenomenal. You guys are going to love all the flavors and textures here, and they're perfect with a cup of coffee in the morning. I'm going to start my scone recipe off with my dry ingredients. I've measured out 1.5 cups of Bob's Red Mill all-purpose flour. Now, if you wanted to make a gluten-free version of this recipe, you can also use their 1-to-1 baking flour, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm also going to measure out 1/2 cup of almond flour. I'll combine all my dry ingredients in a large mixing bowl. 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And into the dry ingredients, I'll add in 1/2 cup of cubed ice cold butter. I just let this sit in the freezer for about 20 minutes. And I'm using my pastry cutter to cut that cold butter into the flour until the mixture resembles fine crumbs. And you can also use a food processor for this step. And add the wet ingredients. I have 1 egg plus 1 egg yolk, 1/2 cup of milk, and 1/2 cup of strawberry yogurt. And then I'll use a spatula to combine all these ingredients together, forming a soft dough. For the strawberry flavor in these scones, I'll be using 2 cups of freeze-dried strawberries. And before I add them, I'm just going to crush them with my hands to break the strawberries into smaller pieces. And then add them right in. I'm going to cover my scone batter with some plastic wrap and set this into the refrigerator. I'm going to let it chill for about 30 to 40 minutes. Then we'll come back to shape these and bake them in the oven. Once that scone batter is nicely chilled, I'm just going to use a scoop and drop the scone batter onto a baking sheet lined with a silicone mat. You can also use parchment paper. Just space them about 1 inch apart, 1.5 inches. And I'm gonna grab my pastry brush and brush each scone with a little bit of egg wash. And for this, I just beat 1 egg in a small ramekin and then top each scone off with some almonds. And these scones are ready to hit the oven. They're going to bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes until they're nice and golden brown on top. Then take them out, let them cool, and we're gonna come back to finish them off with the glaze. These scones are so aromatic, you guys are going to love them. So I'm using the same glaze that I made for my blueberry muffins. After the scones cool for about 15 minutes, just use a little pastry brush and brush that glaze right on top. Time to dig in and take a bite of these. These scones are absolutely delicious. I love how light and fluffy these are. They're packed with so much incredible strawberry flavor from the strawberry yogurt and the freeze-dried strawberries. These are perfect with a cup of coffee in the morning. And that's it for my special episode with Bob's Red Mill. I hope you guys get a chance to try all 3 of these incredible, delicious, easy spring baking recipes. And don't forget to head down into the video description box for the coupon link and the link for all these recipes. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.